Hello guys, welcome back to my channel for a transfer deadline day special transfer news video, whatever you want to call it. Things have heated up, but it's been a madness of a transfer deadline day. Chelsea haven't really been involved in transfer deadline days for a good while. Last year we had everything sorted. The year before we had a transfer ban, and in the Januaries we haven't really done anything for a while. So, you know, it's the first transfer deadline day where we had a bit of action in a while. I'm joined by two very, very special guests. We should be joined, well, we definitely be joined by Dammy. Not sure if Lewis will actually turn up or not. We'll find out, I suppose. But we'll have a lot of various different opinions today, which I'm very excited for because that makes for the best content. I don't actually know the details of Jem's opinions on everything, which, again, makes it interesting for me because I don't know what he's going to say. But I know Pies earlier wasn't particularly happy. Now we've signed Saul, he's better. But, you know, I'm still very intrigued to find out what he feels about the Kounde situation and the transfer window overall. I just about couldn't get it done in time with the timer running down. I'm just putting a poll into the chat. So all of you guys go into there and basically reply to that or answer it, whatever the point is, right? Basically, how out of 10 what you're rating for Chelsea's transfer window is. Obviously, there could still be changes, and who knows, maybe we'll do a madness and sign Kounde at 5 to 12 or 5 to 11 in the UK, right? But as of right now, we've signed Romelu Lukaku and we've signed Saul Niguez from Atletico Madrid, or rather, we're about to sign him. Fabrizio Romano gave it his. Here we go. Let me just fully introduce my two guests. First of all, Jem, thank you for rejoining. It's the wrong. Thank you for joining us again today. We've seen him obviously a couple of times on the channel recently, which I'm very pleased about. So, Jem, first of all, thank you again. And secondly, how you doing? How's your transfer deadline day been?
Yeah, all good, mate. Thanks for having me on again. Appreciate obviously being over here with you guys and that. But yeah, it's been what I call a roller coaster ride. Something that I was telling some of my viewers earlier on. Not, you know, especially with the South thing, the fact that it sort of went like it looked like it was blocked, and all of a sudden now we've signed him. So yeah, it's a madness, and anything can happen till 11 o'clock, eh?
Hey, exactly. You never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen. And like I said as well, and like you can obviously see on screen, we are also joined by Mr. CFCPys. Pies, I know you texted me earlier, we were talking, and you weren't so happy. Now we're signed Saul, you even text me, okay, now you're happier. How you feeling now? How you feeling now? Has Saul won you over? Has he won you over for the whole club, or you're still kind of in a bit of a, you know, let me start it off with that. You know, the people can reply to the poll in the chat. What is your rating out of 10 for the transfer window if we do not sign Kounde? But of course, thank you for joining us, and also tell me how you're doing.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back on. I don't really know how I want to react to all this this news because, you know, like a lot of people were like, oh, you know, it doesn't really matter if we don't get Kounde, blah 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 blah. But I'm like a really really big fan of him, and coming into this deadline day, I thought we was going to get him. Like, surely, like, it just doesn't still make sense in my brain why you would sell Zuma, why every single reporter in the whole entire universe said we would be signing Kounde and now we won't pay the release clause. What's got me annoyed more personally is the fact that what Monchi said earlier, he's the Sevilla director, if you guys don't know, he said that Chelsea could have got Kounde for cheaper if they responded by August 20th. Like, what is this?
That hurts. That hurts to know.
It's incompetence, and that's why I was so annoyed. It's the fact that, okay, if you're not going to pay the release clause, well, get the deal done early. Like, I'm going to end up ranting on because we had all summer to do this, and yeah, I'm really annoyed. But oh well, we got Saul. Hopefully, like we've agreed a fee. Hopefully, he'll sign the contract. You know, I said at the start of the day as well, midfielder depth is more important than Kounde. So I'm not going to backtrack. It's good that we've got
feedback. Dammy, you've got feedback.
Dammy's got loads of feedback.
Yeah. Dammy's got the echo. Is that better?
I've muted him for now, so you can fix it and you can just keep
right, yeah. No, yeah, so I was just saying, it's good that we've got Saul, hopefully. Like, I don't like to say things are 100% done until the medical's done, but yeah, I don't know how I feel. I really wanted Kounde, so I don't know, man. Probably 6 or 7, maybe 7, probably.
I thought I was the only one that loved Kounde that much. I'm not the only one, by the sounds of it. Eh?
No, I really love Kounde.
Oh, mate, honestly, I've liked Kounde before we was even linked to him. Pies, to be honest, I've been banging on about this guy. So
it just doesn't make sense to me. Like the fact that all window we got told that no matter what, Like, that was the Athletic exclusive article. No matter what, we will sign Kounde, and we haven't. Like, it's just...
Yeah. It's annoying, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very annoying.
It's crazy, but we'll get onto that discussion more in just a second. Of course, we need to introduce our fourth guest. Lewis has also replied, by the way. We'll be here in a few minutes as well. Dammy, first of all, big ups to Grand Dam. Thank you for joining us. And how are you feeling on a madness of a transfer deadline day? Like I said this to the guys a second ago. We haven't really been involved in a deadline day in a while. It's been quite fun.
My brother, I can't lie to you. Today has been one of the most hectic days I've had in my whole life. Today, the amount of things I've had to pattern, final day of my job. I need to be traveling. My printer is messed up. Chelsea fans cursing me out in DMs. Chelsea fans tagging me and everything. Here we goes, good from here we goes to here we knows. Everything was moving mad. Mad. So today has been a massive cock-up, but I am here in the flesh, and I'm here to say every single one of you, I told you so. Patience is key.
Patience really is key sometimes.
Patience is key. I've been tweeting it for weeks, bro. I've been tweeting it for weeks. Patience is key. Some people are concluded, hey, Marina Saka, she doesn't know what she's doing. Blah, blah, blah. But here we are. Now everybody's converting their 0/10 windows into 8/10 because we've gotten a midfielder here and there. It's mad. It is mad. I can't wait for this to be done, bro. But here we are, bro. Here we are.
Hey, it is a bit of a madness. But where are you actually going tomorrow?
For me, so how do I put this? So I need to sort out some information and some items ahead of another flight I've got in about 2 weeks. So I'm headed to Edinburgh, Scotland tomorrow in the morning at 5 a.m. So I need to head down there, pattern all that crap, come back on the same day. And I've got to go somewhere. I've got to go down to London tomorrow. I need to go to Scotland and London from Manchester tomorrow. So I am mad. Obviously, I told you that.
Wow.
That's long. Man's working like bloody Fabrizio Romano, being all over the shop. It's a mad.
Brother, my bank cards are screaming. But anything is possible in it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Before we get into the depressive stuff, but the slightly negative stuff about Kounde, I suppose we should probably first focus on Saul a little bit, I think, because number one, we've spoken about Kounde way more on this channel because it's been obviously a bigger link for much longer than obviously Saul has. But I know what Pi said, until the medical's done, he's not going to fully believe it, but it's happening, Pies. Come on. Fabrizio said, here we go. He's even posted like a whole PNG and all sorts. It's happening, right? But let's talk about Saul Niguez. I don't actually know how old he is. Let me just Google that.
26.
26. Well, there you go.
26, yeah.
The weird thing about Saul Niguez, first of all, I don't know what happened in the last 2 years, potentially in the Liga, but I have this guy as a very good midfielder in my head. Like, I don't watch every La Liga game and every La Liga season, but what I know of that, Donny, he's a very good player. I don't understand why anybody's even questioned this. He's an absolute work machine. He's left-footed, which is handy in our midfield because we don't have a left-footed option in our, so that's always good. He's extremely versatile, and sure, people talk about he was, offered to all sorts of different clubs. I don't care. And what? Haaland will be offered to every club under the God's earth next summer, right? Does that make Haaland a bad player? No, it doesn't. So, we move. And at the end of the day, we filled the midfield options, which we desperately needed. Did we have to leave it this late? No. Did we have to, let Billy go 2 months ago at this point to only sign so now? No. Could have done that a little bit quicker. But in the end, we got it done. And I've said this a long time ago, and I've said this many, many times. And while I like Kounde, not as much as Python and Jem maybe, but I like him. In my order of priorities, centre-back was very, very far down the list. Okay, we sold Zuma, so that obviously put it slightly higher up the list. But we've had Chalobah come in. Sure, we haven't really, even though Chalobah's done incredibly well in those 2 games that he's played, of actual competitive games, right? There's obviously a little bit of a risk still attached. How will he keep playing, right, for the rest of the season? But essentially, we just have Chalobah instead of Zuma. So it's still not that much of a problem. But in midfield, that was a serious problem. We could not physically have gone into this season with 3 proper midfielders. And you can tell me about Ruben Loftus-Cheek all you want. I will probably love him more than you do. But if you have a brain, he's not a 6. So that's not a real option. Ampadu, the man's just gone to bloody Venezia, who are last in Serie A. Don't know what he's doing. Like, is he just trying to have the worst loans in a row. Like, what is he doing? I don't understand. But anyway, so clearly that wouldn't have been good enough either. Otherwise, he wouldn't be going to Venezia right now. And who's the last option we have? Yeah, sure, Chalobah. But Chalobah would only be a midfield option if we signed another centre-back. So we needed at least a midfielder or a centre-back. And thankfully, we got that in Saul. So I'm very, very pleased because Dami has had I saw a lot of nodding there. I'm going to put it to you first. So what do you make of Saul? Do you agree? Is it just a signing that you couldn't really turn down? It's a loan. We have an option. Even the option isn't that bad. Like, what is it, 35 million euros? You can't even complain at that.
I mean, the truth is, like, you can't mess up a loan, innit? Like, it's a loan. For starters, we know we pay 5 million euros, but it's a loan. It's not like we just bought this guy. We've got to stick to him for the next 4, 5, 6 years. He's not on a longer-term contract at Chelsea. It's 12 months. If you like him at the end, you keep him. If you don't, then you just let him go back to Atletico Madrid. And that is what I appreciate about Chelsea's transfer business. We don't bend our backs over for anybody. We don't do it. That's why with the Kounde thing, I was like, why should we start doing it now just because people want a centre-back pattern? I understood the logic behind and the frustrations with it, but we were never going to do that. Atletico yesterday were literally waffling. Hey, listen, we're going to you have to buy him next. Nah. We don't do that. We do not do that. So he's coming. Obviously, like, his last 12 to 18 months haven't been the best. I'm coming from. He's a very talented midfielder, as we've seen. And Simeone obviously converted him. He used him as a wing back from time to time. He can also, I wouldn't centre back. I've not watched him too much in that position, but then he's also really solid in midfield. He brings a left-footed option into that midfield as well. So it gives you a bit of dynamism right there when you're playing in between the lines and trying to progress the ball up the pitch. So that will be something to look out for. But as far as his current form, I wouldn't be worried too much because obviously we've seen what Tuchel can do with certain individuals. I know Rudiger started to pick up form before he came through, but then when he came through, it was like a player reborn. So I'd bank on Saul to come in and perform to an adequate level as soon as he starts playing. Now, am I expecting him to play week in, week out? Good chance. But then we've got quite a lot of games this season, and I'm like trying to see the likes of Kante resting. Kante specifically. Obviously, Jorginho covered deserve a rest, but Kante is the most fragile midfielder we currently do have. So it is an interesting signing from us, and I don't see this messing up in any way, shape, or form. Besides, he's going to be on the bench. He knows he's going to be on the bench. And it's good. We've got the depth we wanted, so I can't complain.
No, exactly. And also, I mean, before I put it to Pice now, the reports today was that him and his agent were the ones really pushing for this move because in case you missed it, right, basically about even 12 hours ago, yesterday especially, what we were all told is that deal's off. It's not happening, right? And apparently it was him and his agent pushing for it as much as they have to turn things around and actually make it happen. As much as it's only a loan, as much as, he's never going to be like the biggest Chelsea fan of all time, right? He will probably have Atletico in his heart or whatever fancy words you want to use forever. But I like a player that pushes to join us. That's always a good thing when there's some sort of passion to like be here and make things happen. I mean, that's the work rate that I want to see. And I'm not going to try do too many digs, but not Tino Andrin going to Russia. Do you know what I mean? Like, we talk about, we're selling all our talents. I'm like, the kid wanted to go to Russia. He's clearly not taking it seriously. Like, I don't care what you say about CSK's new structure. I don't care. He's going to Russia, man. Like, sort it out. Like, what is that? And then, like, honestly, I know that people love, people from the players from the academy. I get it. But when I see some people on Twitter, literally, all they ever tweet about is just how unfair Chelsea are to the youth players and how we're ruining everybody. I'm like, do you know that we're trying to be successful as a club? The point of this thing isn't that our young youth players are good. Do you not understand the system of academy? We can't have 20 players a year in the first team. It's physically impossible. Like, it's a madness. We'll get to the whole Hudson-Odoi chat that was obviously happening yesterday and today later as well, because that is another one that riled me up with what a lot of people were thinking. Maybe I'm the weird one here, but I think people have some weird thoughts on this. But anyway, I waffled on for half an hour about this. Pice. So I know we've touched on him before, I'm pretty sure together, but still, now that it's pretty much done, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I'm happy with him. Like, obviously, I've said before, I'd like Saul. I think he's a good player. I think he covers us well in different positions as well. He's played a lot at left wing back for Atletico, so maybe we don't see Alonso as much, which would be lovely for me. But I'm sure he'll probably cover the midfield. It just really helps us because I was panicking. I rate Ampadu, I rate Loftus-Cheeks, but they're not. I don't know. They're not really what you want to be relying on if a big injury happens. With Saul at least, you have a really experienced player who suits our systems, very technical, has played in a pivot. You know, he's left-footed as well, which is different. The only midfielder under Rome we've had, which was left-footed, was Matic. So yeah, and also as well, people aren't really talking about this, but he does have a good shot on him. So yeah, he's. I know he doesn't score many goals, like he rarely scores, but he does have a good shot on him. Like he can get forward if we want him to. So I think he gives us different options. And yeah, like you said, I mean, €5 million loan, you can't go wrong with that. 30 million option to buy. If he's amazing, we buy him. If not, we go get Rice or Tchouameni. Simple as that. And that's been the whole deal from the start, right? You know, so we'll see what happens. But I'm pretty sure it'll be decent. Whether it'll be good enough for the board to completely put off Rice or Tchouameni, I doubt it, to be honest, because otherwise I think we would have just bought him permanently now, to be honest with you. But yeah, we'll see. It's a good signing if we make it. I hate saying it's a good signing when he hasn't done the medical, but yeah, it will be a good signing if we fully complete it before 11.
Exactly. No, I agree. And what you said there as well, that he has a good shot in him is a very good point. You know, Newcastle away, start Saul, no matter who's fit. Just, you know, because they always make it really annoyingly difficult there. We're the only team they turn up against. Us and United, we're the only teams they ever turn up against, I feel like, right? So, you know, if we're struggling a bit, just bring Saul on, smack one home from 40 yards. Why not? But, Jen, I actually have no idea what you think about Saul. So, I mean, I know we were talking in the DMs a little bit and you basically said, you know, it all makes sense, right? But in general, in more detail, do you agree with, you know, the consensus of us three that it's just a good sign and it can't really go wrong? Or would you have heavily preferred someone like Tchouameni or whatever?
No, I just think it's Chelsea's second biggest target. When you look at the beginning, you look at the beginning of the transfer window, and you think about what is it that Chelsea really needed to strengthen going into next season. The first one was the striker. We've done that with a massive tick, bringing Lukaku back into that, and the second one would probably have been sort of a DM or a central midfielder to back up the three that we've currently got. You know, we already know that N'Golo Kante is only getting older, and he is picking up injuries a lot more frequent. So, you know, the fact that I think what annoyed me more at the beginning of it was the fact that we let Billy Gilmore go, and then it sort of dragged, and it was like, okay, we're interested in Saul, but there's nothing really going on here. The thing with Kounde as well, which would have been more interesting, is if we didn't get Saul and we brought in Kounde, I actually think he could have played sort of that central midfielder DM role as sort of cover. I know he is predominantly a right centre-back, whatever you want him to do, but he has that versatility to him. So, you know, the thing with Saul as well, which is another big thing, is he is versatile. He can play right wing, he can play, you know, central midfield. And we've actually got a midfielder, a 6, that can actually shoot. And I'm glad Pies brought it up because we haven't got one of them at the moment. And when N'Golo Kante gets the ball at the end of the box and shoots, or Kovacic gets in front of goal, I don't even bother looking because I know it's not going in the back of the net. Do you know what I mean? So we've actually got someone. I had
actually a really funny debate with someone the other week when a lot of people, the people that are critical of Jorginho, they say, you know, he never scores type thing, and he will get the ball in a good position outside the box. He will square it rather than shoot. And someone replied like, well, I'd rather he squares it because he knows he's not good at shooting.
Yeah,
and Kovacic just shoots every time and puts it into Rowe's head every single time. Yeah. Like, I'm like, stop shooting. You can't do it. Stop it.
You're not going to get that with Saul Niguez. You know, if he gets in them positions, you're confident knowing that he's going to get it on target at least. Whether it goes in is another story. You look at his stats for the last 2 seasons. He hasn't scored many goals when you think about it, and he hasn't assisted as much. I think he's more of a system player. If anything, I think he's someone that's going to come in, he's going to work hard, he's going to do what he's told, and he's playing under a manager that elevates players, you know, so it makes them better. So maybe we see a better Saul Niguez under Chelsea than what we have seen under Atletico in the last 2 seasons. So I don't think he will start. I think he will be rotational. That's why he's here. But he's definitely strength in depth, I think is the best word to use for that. So yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing him at Chelsea.
Exactly. And the next and the last, or probably the last topic about Saul itself or himself, I want to discuss is people obviously some people made a big deal out of it. Well, sure, he's a midfield option, but he's not the midfield option we actually need, because you could argue we have Kante and Cover for the one role, and we kind of needed a backup to Jorginho for the other role, who we cut our 2 roles in midfield. And people will say, you know, Saul is another box-to-box midfielder, probably closer to Kante than even Kovacic is, right? in terms of workhorse and whatever else. But my, not counter argument, but my point to that would be, don't forget what team he played for. Even if he was a box-to-box midfielder on Atletico Madrid, he played for Atletico Madrid, for potentially the most defensive and best defensive manager in the world in Diego Simeone. I don't care whether he played as a box-to-box in their system. Have you seen Atletico play? Like, even if you just watch the 2 games against us, and if you've ever watched their games against Real Madrid or Atletico Madrid, against Barcelona, the man defend. Even if you're a box-to-box midfielder, if you play for Atletico Madrid, you know how to defend. And he's clearly decent on the ball. He has a good pass in him. So obviously that guy can play a 6 if necessary. Sure, he's not like Rice or Jorginho in terms of super suitable for that one position. But because of where he's played, he's clearly capable of defending. So I personally don't feel people should worry as much as they should. And Liam, I know you find it hilarious when I try my awful Austrian accent. It's weird that I can't do a proper Austrian accent of English, but I can't do it. I've already made myself look like a mug once. Well, it's enough for Liam, but I appreciate you. Anyway, Dami, do you agree with that? That it's not as big of a deal that he's not a proper DM, but because he's played for Atletico, he can probably do that job anyway, just because of where he's played?
Bro, it doesn't matter. It fully doesn't matter. Like, the way people are talking, like, are you getting feedback from me as well?
Nope.
Okay, I can hear myself. I don't know why. Anyways, the thing is, like, what's happened with that situation is that this is quite weird. I can hear myself.
Take the headphones off while you talk, because then you can't hear yourself.
Yeah, I've switched it off. Basically, it's fine. But basically, like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter that much. Like, the way people painted the situation was like, oh, Chelsea's midfield. There's a difference between having a midfield that you're scared will get an injury and there will be a problem, right? And a midfield that is not competent. This midfield is fully competent. What happens if none of these catch an injury for the entirety of the season? Highly unlikely, but that will be perfectly fine. We would be perfectly fine. Nobody, not a single soul will complain if this midfield stays fit for the entire part of the season. And if Saul tops bench, it's not a problem. So the profile of midfield that we wanted to get, maybe like a Declan Rice or Tchouaméni, they were not really available. Some Chelsea fans are so arrogant. I mean, we have the right to be arrogant in the sense because we've been the most successful club in England.
How do you know they weren't not available?
And we've obviously managed to sort out. Did somebody say something just now?
Damu.
Yo, can you hear me?
You said they weren't
available? We can hear you fine, but Pice was trying to ask you something.
Oh, yeah, what did you say?
You just said they weren't available, right?
Nah, that's not what I said.
What's going on now? Are you just confused?
I'm confused. I'm confused. Wait. Bro, what are you trying to say?
Wait. People are cutting out. I thought I heard you say Tchouaméni and Rice weren't available. Was that my hearing or what?
No. I was trying to get to a point. So basically, what I'm trying to say is like with those two, they were not readily, easily available. Nah, that was never just going to happen. We're going to have to actually stretch out the transfers. We're going to have to discuss them quite a lot. And what I meant by that, in the sense, when I was talking about Tchouaméni specifically, some Chelsea fans felt like we could just knock up Monaco's door today or yesterday or the day before and be like, hey, we watched Tchouaméni when we've not really been talking to them that much about it. How many reliable journalists actually came out and said, hey, Tchouaméni is going to be something that the club have been working on for quite a long time. You can't, you know what I'm saying? Like, people just came out. That's what I'm saying, isn't it? So, like, for me, yeah.
There was so many journalists that had Tchouaméni on our list and said we really liked him, but then, like...
Yeah, but really liked him was always the extent of it.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. If that's the case, then is that like a brief? What is it? Because Tchouaméni in Monaco don't even have Champions League football. Like, we never even made an attempt for him. Like, I don't know why he was on the list.
Yeah, but my point is, like, if you play like Tchouaméni and like you're dealing with a club like Monaco, you don't it's like these guys, they have some form of clout themselves. You don't just knock on their door 2 days before the window ends and be like, we want to buy Tchouaméni for XXX amount. These guys have peace. Let's not forget this. Because their club are falling off doesn't necessarily mean they're not a rich club as well. Do you know what I'm saying? So the point I'm just trying to get across basically is like the likes of Declan Rice and Tchouaméni were never going to be simple transactions. It was never going to be that way. And obviously, as much as Chelsea liked Tchouaméni, the same journalists that reported he was favoured on that list are the same ones that also said that the club wanted to see him in another season as well. That's what they've all said. Every single one of them. Athletic articles, Matt Law, even Fabrizio himself. Do you know where I'm coming from? So that's happened with Tchouaméni. So I was not really expecting any of this to happen. But the overall arcing point I was trying to get to was, it doesn't really matter. I mean, like, we didn't really get the profile once. All well and good. But then people say that Saul was something that Tuchel would like to have. So I'm all well and good with that. If that's what Tuchel wants to have, then he can go ahead and have that. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm not really here to talk about whether this guy was perfectly fit or not. We've done the business that we needed to do. So I'm perfectly fine with it. Do you know what I mean? So, because like I brought up the situation where people, because one thing a lot of people have done this transfer, you guys can probably agree with me as well, is like whenever they see a target that they're not necessarily fans of, okay, it's a board target, or like we're not really trying to sign him. When it's someone that they do like, that's when it's Tuchel's thing. People like I like him as well. Do you know what I mean? But people are like, oh, the board should go and back Tuchel and this and that. When it came to Declan Rice talk, which Fabrizio Romano confirmed, do you know what I mean? People were saying Fabrizio was a tapping merchant and it was a club signing, even though Fabrizio... You see how people sort of change the narrative from time to time. So it's just been quite an interesting window with this midfielder situation. Saul, I'm just happy we've got him because it is a backup. This is an option. We have another option. Might not be the ideal, perfect one that everybody wanted, okay? But as long as we got what we needed to have, which was that backup person, the person that has experience and is willing to sit on the bench, I'm perfectly fine with. I'm genuine.
Yeah, no, I personally agree, to be honest. I mean, I've asked this question many times, actually, because Jester was the first one that initially mentioned to me Tchouaméni, like months ago, right? And I'm like, okay, Tchouaméni, he's a guy. I don't know much about him. Apparently, he's interesting. And then there was a few small links. But, I mean, Pies mentioned him there. Yeah, you're right. They said, like, we like him. But that was always the end of it. If it was never like, we're trying to sign him. It was never like we're super interested in him. It was never comparable to how the reporting was for Rice or even for Saul over the last couple of days. It was never anything like that with Tchouaméni. Whatever those reasons may be, and Pies, you're fair enough to question it. Why is his name even in the media if we're not interested? Who gave them that information then? I don't know. I think it probably all started with this weird rumor that Cesc spoke to Czech about Tchouaméni, and then it just became its own thing that
Laurenz,
just was created into a bigger thing than it was. Go on.
Do you not find it weird that obviously Jules Kounde's agent is Tchouaméni's agent? Is there not any way that we would have actually had that conversation with him, even when we was talking in the dealings of Kounde? Like, do you not? Like, I know what you're saying, but there must have been some sort of discussion about Tchouaméni. Yes, we liked him, but I reckon there must have been more, especially the fact that we were talking to his agent anyway in regards to Kounde. So it's just that it's one of the things I don't think we're ever going to find out as much as we want.
I agree with you, Jem. But like when Chelsea actually, there's a way these journalists report news. Like when we actually want to go for someone, even if we don't sign them, the way the news comes out tells you very much about how active the club are pursuing the transaction. Rice, that has been back and forth. It's clear. It is clear. I don't know how it went from Chelsea didn't want him because it was too expensive to like that was clearly obviously broken by Fabrizio and Matt Law. If those are tapping merchants, I don't know who else you're looking at in terms of news. When it came to Tchouaméni, everybody said that the club admire the player. They look at the player, they like him. Kind of like Jude Bellingham. We know this as well. It was almost in the same sort of breath. We appreciate these players. We understand their value and we would like to have them, but we're not actively pushing for them. Everybody knew Haaland actively pushing, Lukaku actively pushing, Saul actively pushing. But the others, it was always kind of like just always in the balance. It was like we liked them and that was about it. You never really got like aggressive news with regards to, hey, we're making progress in signing or we make inquiries about them. So that's just my sort of take on that.
You're muted.
You're muted, mate.
Yeah.
Cheers. Thanks, boys. The message here by Chester in the chat saying personal terms were agreed with Tchouaméni. Reports are the feeling is he needs another year. I'm not sure who said personal terms were agreed. Like it was certainly not like the people who we or Pies especially classes as tier one. It's definitely not those people that said it. But I did also see the reports about him potentially needing another year. That is another question. I'll put it to you, Jem. First of all, again, back to the whole defensive questions. Is it a problem that we don't have someone that can do Jorginho's role properly, or does it not matter? Plus that, do you see a chance of Saul potentially taking Kovacic's place in the rotation? Because we know, realistically, when everybody's fit, Kante and Jorginho are starting too, not Kovacic. Could Saul take Kovacic's spot?
I think I think what Tuchel's very good at doing is getting whoever it is that's playing for our football club to play at a certain level where they're hungry and they're competitive. So it's not like whoever gets their opportunity doesn't take it, sort of thing, you know. And I feel like with a Saul Niguez coming in, I keep saying it, I think he'll probably elevate him. I think Tuchel will elevate him. I don't think he'll play every game. Whether he takes Kovacic's position, I don't know. I think it'll be more of a rotational thing. In terms of the DM aspect and Jorginho, if, for example, we do lose Jorginho, say he gets injured for a month, God forbid, I hope he don't, I do think we have the option of maybe pulling one of our centre-backs out, providing that they're all fit, and asking them to play in that role. If you look at Christensen and what he done at Denmark, he made it very easy and clear that he could play a DM role, or play comfortably within that position. You've got Trevor Chalobah, who's played in that position before. Yes, it's a risk, and I get that. I know there's been a lot of hype around Chalobah over 2 games and whatever else, but it looks like he's going to stay, and it looks like he's going to be a part of this team. And what I'm trying to get is, I think what you will see is a lot of rotation. I don't think you will ever see a Chelsea team where it's consistently the same every 2, 3, 4 games down the line. I think you'll consistently keep rotating them, keeping them hungry, keeping the competition healthy, because you want to keep them all wanting to play. You know, what you don't want is having your strongest 11 playing 3 or 4 games, and you've got players like Saul or Kovacic sitting there thinking to themselves, how the hell am I going to get in this team? It's just not going to happen. And I think that's what Tuchel's done so well. It's the balancing act, if that makes sense. It's the balancing act of being able to keep everyone hungry and wanting to compete and having that opportunity to maybe play each and every week, which is something as Chelsea fans we struggle to know. It's like, who are we going to play up front? You know, who's going to be our front three? Who's going to be our DM? Who's going to play centre back? Who's not? You know, and it's nice because we have squad depth, and it's important that when you're challenging for these titles, you have that in your locker. So yeah.
Exactly. And on that bombshell, we're also joined by the big man himself, Mr. Carefree Lewis G. On that note, first of all, thank you for coming. How are you doing? And how are you feeling about Saul? Because we were literally just wrapping up the Saul topic, so perfect timing. Yeah, just inform us what you think about him.
I can finally be at rest because the window's perfect now. Like, Kounde was the icing on the top of the cake, but that was it. It was just the icing on the top of the cake. We can try and go for him next year. If we don't get him next year, it'll be a kick in the teeth. But again, we have a great set of centre-back, so I'm not really too worried about that position. We needed a midfielder because when Jorginho went down against Liverpool on Saturday, I was shook. That's the one thing that's going to scare me the most this season, if Jorginho goes down with an injury. We needed depth. We've got depth in Saul. He's good in possession as well. He can play in the 2-man pivot. Great dribbler. He's great at ball progression as well. It's an excellent move for us. And we've got him on a loan deal. I'm not sure. Is it option to buy or obligation?
Option. Just an option of 35 million. Although, is it pounds or euros, though, 35 million?
That's euros. So
30 million pounds.
It's literally 30 million pound on the door.
That's like, peanuts for, the signings we have usually made recently. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's another great move from us. And we've, what's his name? Zuma's gone out the door, which, I mean, it does leave us a bit iffy for depth now. But with Chalobah, we've got, 5, 6 centre-backs still? So that's 2 in each position. So regardless, we're fine. I think this has been a great window for us. I don't think anyone should be complaining about the fact that we don't get Kounde. And yeah, I'm in a very confident mood for the season now because we're in a perfect position. Like, we got a beautiful amount of depth throughout the entire squad. Midfield sorted, defense sorted, the attack's already been sorted. And yeah, I'm happy. Only worry for me now is whatever happens when Edouard Mendy goes off for the Euros. But let's just hope Kepa and Bettinelli
for the Euros,
everything in African Cup of Nations. My bad. But yeah, let's just hope Kepa pans it up in January. But other than that, let's go for the title.
There you go. You know what I just noticed? Is it just me that thinks Jem looks like Saul? He does. He does look like Saul.
Boxing.
He must be one good-looking guy, I tell you. I believe me now. There he is.
Exactly. It's all compliments. There you go. On that note, though, before we get into Kounde, because I think that will be an interesting discussion, I want to talk about this whole Callum Hudson-Odoi stuff. Obviously, it came out yesterday, or was it yesterday or 2 days ago, that Borussia Dortmund were interested in signing him on loan. And Twitter lost their head, like, completely. You had the one side of people who don't like Callum, who just, basically say, I don't care. You had the other side of people, like I touched on earlier already, that call them sexuals, that love everything that it came out of Cobham ever, even if it was the toilet roll, that was saying, we're ruining his career and how can we not allow this? And, he's only third choice wing back and he's fifth or seventh choice winger. Like, I'm like, do you not understand anything? Like, if we don't sign Kounde, you can't class Hudson-Odoi as a third choice wing back. How? Like, no, because Aspie is going to be a regular centre back. So Hudson-Odoi is first of all our second choice right wing back, just to make that very clear. Sure, Aspie will play games at right wing back, but still, essentially, when Reece needs to come off, Callum is the one that comes on. And we play so many teams who were drastically better than. Just as the example, our 4-1 win at Palace at the end of last season. Callum started at right wing back, was absolutely brilliant, and it was a brilliant performance overall against the lesser sides who sit deep. It's very useful to have an extremely attacking and offensive right wing back every now and again because Reece will need a rest. And if he finally manages to actually play as well in games as he does in training, apparently, according to reports this week, he will get game time. So stop telling me we're ruining somebody's career when he's the kid that asked for a transfer request 3 days before a window. No, absolutely not. I'm not having it in the slightest. I'm not having it. And
I disagree with you there, bro.
Yeah,
I know.
A loan deal, I'm here for. He should have gone.
I'm not even saying it's a bad move. I'm saying it's with the squad options we have, we physically cannot let him go. Like, do you want us to go into the season having no depth? Like Tuchel said 5 days ago, we don't have a big squad. And what seemingly everybody wanted is that we loaned everyone we could think of out. I don't understand. Like, Tuchel said we don't have a big squad. We have a good squad, but not a big squad. And that was before we sold Zuma. Sure, we now brought Zahul in. But you can't just get rid of all the players. Like, it doesn't work that way.
He can't go. I'm sorry. If he wanted to go, he should have gone at the beginning of the transfer window. Why are we leaving it to the last minute to leave ourselves vulnerable? I don't agree with it. That's why when I heard the news, I said it's rubbish. It's rubbish. I'm sorry.
Look at the Zoom.
It's not happening, Danny. It's not happening. I'm sorry. If Callum Hudson-Odoi wanted to play on loan for Dortmund, then they should have done that earlier and got someone in to cover it. That is it. I have no problem with him going out and doing that.
I'm going to let Pi speak first, innit? So I know if I'm scrapping all four of you at once, but Pies, what are you thinking, bro? Because I've got a very strong opinion.
Yeah, to be honest, I do feel for him because he definitely needs regular football. Like, he needs minutes. But at the same time, I think the other guys have a point. I mean, if we let him go, then, like, I don't know, like, what's our depth for wing back? Like, I would like an attacking option. Like, we have Rhys James, we have Aspie, but at the same time, I want him in the forward line. Like, I know he would play at sort of left wing probably for Dortmund, which would have been great for him. But, I mean, I know you're probably going to kick off by, like, game time and stuff. I do agree. Now he's staying, and the sort of noise that was coming out was that Tuchel was the one that wanted him to stay. Okay, well, you've got to use him more now. Otherwise, you should have let him go on loan. I'm sorry. Like, you have to use him more. I've seen a graph out of his last 17 matches or something like that. The amount of minutes he could have played, it's like 170 out of like 1,600. Like, I don't get how big the squad, or how many players are in front of Hudson-Odoi. For me personally, some of them shouldn't be in front of Hudson-Odoi, but the fact that they are, and he's not going on loan, and he's not getting this opportunity to play regular football, I want to see him play more minutes now because I feel like he deserves it. I don't know whether he doesn't train hard enough. That's also rumours that have been coming out. He's not the best of trainers or whatever. I don't know. There's obviously a reason why Tuchel, he's not ahead of Ziyech or he's not ahead of Pulisic. There's a reason for that, as there is with every manager.
For me, it's least experience, but that's why he needs to go out on loan and get.
Yeah, and he's the only guy. He's the only guy that hasn't gone out on loan, pretty much from the guys that have broke through, right? But at the same time, when if Hudson-Odoi was starting against Aston Villa, I'd be confident. Like, that's how I feel about him. You know what I mean? I rate him that highly, and I just don't think Tuchel does. But then at the same time, Tuchel's like, oh, well, I want to keep him. Well, what for? Because you don't use him. So what's the point?
Guys, the only reason we was keeping him was to give him these minutes, right? So if he's not going to be given these minutes, like you said, then you just let him go. But this is why I'm annoyed about it. You don't leave it lastminute.com to then say, all right, go now, and leave us vulnerable when we could have let him go and brought someone in.
It makes no sense to me. Do you think it might have been
I
the
think-
case that he became available recently? Because I feel like if it was no knowledge that Hudson-Odoi wanted to go out on loan, plenty of clubs would have come in for him. I'm sure of it. But it's only happened over the last week. So I think it was a late move from Chelsea in itself, if we want to look at who did it. But I get for the club, we need him for depth, and I understand that. But the thing is, the minutes that this guy is still going to get at this age, and with the lack of development that he's had anyway, because he hasn't had the loan deal, I think it would have been better for Chelsea.
Then you should have done that at the beginning of the transfer window. Then you should have done that at the beginning.
That's what the club not putting up for a loan deal,
but then
because the club should have done that earlier, because we would have had more clubs come in for him. I guarantee you, he wouldn't have been here by the start of the season if we said that he was free.
Let me just say one thing before I put it to Dami, because I know Dami's itching to say something. The one thing I say. Minutes is all well and good. Now, there's two reasons. There's two ways of taking your chance. Either you do it like Callum when he usually plays and barely does anything, or you do it like Chalobah did against Villarreal and against Crystal Palace. That's how you take a chance. That's how you keep your space.
But Chalobah's also had a very successful loan spell at Lorient. Hudson-Odoi
that might be true, but let me say one last thing. I agree. If we signed Hakimi or a different wingback, 100% we should have let Callum go. But if one centre-back gets injured, that means when you start Aspie, you only have, at centre-back, you only have one centre-back on the bench, and your only wing-back option on the right side is Callum Hudson-Odoi. I'm not saying because I don't think he needs it. Of course he needs it, but we don't have the squad to let him go. I'm sorry. I mean, maybe Dami will disagree with me now, but it's just, in my opinion, physically impossible to let him go without not having enough players in those areas. Like, how would you feel that you get one injury and you know Thiago Silva will get one? He had two fairly lengthy ones last season. He will get injured at some point this season. And then you only have one defender if you let Callum go. And I'm not counting Callum as the defender, but then you need Aspie as a wing-back option, not only as a centre-back option. If you keep Callum, you can have Callum and Reece as the wing-backs and Aspie first and foremost as the centre-back. That's the only way it's even remotely possible to challenge Man City, in my opinion. But, Dami, I know you're itching for it. Go.
we're keeping this brother for no reason. And at this point, honestly, like, if you think about it, it is selfish. It is selfish. Genuinely, if you think about it, don't feel like, hey, damn, you're waffling. Think about it. It's genuinely selfish. This guy, obviously, the transaction that took place with Bayern Munich is what's causing all these issues. He has a fat contract. Not a lot of people are going to want to pay £180,000 for a player that hasn't really gotten too much game time and experience at the higher levels. Do you know what I'm saying? But I feel like even the Dortmund thing, I didn't really expect him to go to Dortmund because, once again, you really think Chelsea are going to allow them to strengthen after they messed us over for Haaland? That was never going to happen. But I feel like alone, you guys saying that why is he leaving it so late? That's unfair, man. I genuinely think that's unfair. This is so. Do you guys want to just condemn him to that right wing back position as long as Tuchel is here? Oh, let him ride it out. Let him ride it out in a position that he's not supposed to be. Obviously, he played nicely there last year. He meant to play there last season. But when guy wanted to ride out a whole season where he might not even be guaranteed game time, just so that we can have some depth. So when he comes onto the pitch and doesn't play well, hey, yo, Cho is not even playing that. Is that what we're doing this season? What happened to all the other players we've got in and around the place? What happened to Chalobah that's on there? You've got how many centre-backs? We saw all of a sudden we're now shallow because we let go of Zuma. Even though technically speaking, if we signed Kounde, we would have had 7 centre-backs. Come on. Is that what we're really doing right now? No, let's not do that. Let's not do that by any stretch of the imagination. Come on. This is unfair. Callum Hudson-Odoi is meant to be going out on a loan where Chelsea sort of balance off the books a little bit by paying some of his wages and allow the other team to pay some wages as well. I would have been very open to allow him to go on loan because it will progress in his career, all right? He would have gotten a lot better, gone somewhere where he could have improved slowly and come back to this Chelsea team all guns blazing. We were literally 5 minutes ago just talking about how Saul can play in the right wing back position as a player in the back. And now we've just forgotten about
just on the left.
Come on now. No. He played it on the right as well at Atletico. I watched it back.
Yeah, he did play on the right.
He's left-footed and plays right wing back.
No, he has.
He's left. Right. Yep. I mean, remember that Aspilicueta played as the right back. The point I'm talking about is like he can also play. And my point is like we talk about all this depth and everything, but then we're not bringing up Callum Hudson-Odoi. Nah. Isn't it the same policies that potentially played in the wing back positions too? Come on. This Callum thing I think is unfair. I feel like it's fully unfair. So for the point I'm trying to get across is I understand your sentiment, but to say that you should have done it earlier and this and that is due to Chelsea's poor planning. is honestly down to Chelsea's poor planning. Look at the midfield situation. See how we're ending up with Saul. Do you know where I'm coming from? Look at Zuma and Kounde. If they prevented Zuma from being announced, we could have gotten Kounde. The only reason why Atletico was so stiff was because they knew that we had XSPs from signing Zuma. So, like, come on now. I think it's unfair, innit? I genuinely think it's unfair. That's the way I look at it still. Because he's quite good and Tuchel rates him, but he's not going to play too many games this season. Watch it. I'd be shocked if he plays.
Damn it, we're being told he is. And that's the problem. You know, last season, when we finished last season, right, I said, let's just let him go. And all of the Cho lovers come out and started saying to me, no, you don't know what we're losing. He's the new Sancho. If we let him go, he's going to become like Sancho, blah, 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 right? And I said, well, I have no issue with Callum Hudson-Odoi, the player. My issue is having a player that's not going to be able to progress to become the player that he needs to become. Yeah. So I agree with you that we do need to let him go. But if we're going to let him go on loan, you don't. For me, I get what you're saying, but you still don't shoot yourself in the foot. We only have 4 out-and-out wingers. You take Callum Hudson-Odoi out of that, we've got 3: Ziyech, Pulisic, and one other.
And Hudson-Odoi.
And Hudson-Odoi, yeah. So we didn't have 3. We only had 3, not 4. 3 out-and-out wingers. So you take Hudson-Odoi.
Unless you want to class
Werner
as one, but you know.
Exactly. You know, I don't know what is Werner. Is he a forward or I don't know.
Awful.
So,
but
I don't know. It's a sticky topic, as they say. Yeah.
I want to say this, and to Dami, because I do think that Jem has a bit of a point because it's late. Because what we were told by the people that usually know what they're talking about in terms of Callum Hudson-Odoi, that have links to the people around Callum, always said Callum and his people, his brother, who is his agent, don't want him to go out on loan. If he didn't want to go out on loan until maybe a few days ago when Dortmund came in for him, you can't just have a go at Chelsea now for not letting him go on loan. If he didn't want to go on loan, that's what we were told. Sure, that might be wrong. I don't know that. But the information that us as the public have been given is that he didn't want to go on loan. So what on earth are you going to do? You don't want to sell him and he doesn't want to go on loan. Well, then you have to keep him. I agree with you, Dami. We should have signed a right wing back that would have allowed him to go on loan. I agree with that. But we didn't sign a right wing back.
My point is, like, people are, I feel like this midfield, okay, let's break it down to basics, innit? How many players can you put in that right wing back position right now? Just count it off in your head. Aspilicueta or Reece James are probably starting off. Do you know what I'm saying? And then you've got Aspi and Aspilicueta. Do you know I'm coming from? What the fuck? Aspilicueta and Reece James, not Aspi and Aspilicueta. You've got those 2 on there. Callum is last in the pecking order over there as well. When you get forward, Callum is also last in the pecking order. So at what point do you see this guy playing? Mount and Havertz look to be the ones starting moving forward with Lukaku up front. You've not spoken about Ziyech, you've not spoken about Pulisic, you've not spoken about Timo Werner. Those are 3 players ahead of Callum Hudson-Odoi at this very point in time. So where does he fit in? So you want Callum Hudson-Odoi? So Chelsea are going up against Leyton Orient in the Capital One Cup. Callum, go and have some dances. Bro, come on. When are we going to? When is this guy going to go out and be like, okay, let's see what he's about. Let's see if he's worth the money we are paying him right now. Let's see what he can actually do.
But you can't tell me that we have enough options.
One season of him playing fullback 4 or 5 times, it's not going to do anything for him. It's only to us like, oh,
but Dami, you can't just say we should have loaned him. Do you actually think we have the right wing back options? And because I actually disagree. I think against a Burnley, against a Palace, against a Newcastle, if it's not Reece James, it's more likely to be Callum at right wing back than it is Aspi. Aspi played against Real Madrid. He played against West Ham. What?
That's why we should have signed bloody Kounde.
Yes.
No, I agree. I 100% agree. And then if we signed Kounde, we could have let Callum go, but we didn't sign Kounde.
Aspi and James at right wing back. Kounde, Chalobah, whoever else you want to play right centre back. Simple as that. The board bottled the Kounde deal. We could have got him August 20th if we sent a bid. We sent a bid at August 25, 5 days past the expiry date. What is this? To be honest with you, the people that
because we didn't want the fees, Pies.
No. Dami, we could have got him less than release clause if we paid by August 20th.
But still more than we paid.
Was that what the verbal agreement was?
The Sevilla man, I forgot his name, the director, he literally said that we just never ever met the Monchi. We never met the actual required amount. That is the whole deal. Like, we never met the required amount. So whether we paid late or paid earlier, they were very firm on their stance. And also, if you look into the same news you're talking about, we would have probably even got stuff earlier done if Zuma had moved on a bit earlier as well. His medical took 4 or 5 days. What sort of medical is that? Are you trying to sign up for the US Army?
It's like West Ham things, isn't it?
But that's part of the thing, isn't it? So like it don't work that way. Like my point is, like, I hear this Kounde thing, I get people are upset about it, but I just feel like it all still boils down to like this depth. People are looking for depth, brilliant. But then what's the probability of 2 layers of depth getting injured? How will Aspi and Reece James just get injured like that? Come on.
No. But that's not it though.
It's not that. It's the cover that you'd get also for someone like Rudiger, who I don't think we have cover for at the moment. You know, he would play there. He could also, like I said, he won't play centre back because Christensen can cover Thiago Silva. But like Pius said, he can play right centre back. If we switch,
the whole show thing just doesn't make any sense anyway. Because if he goes out on loan, say you did go to Dortmund, right? He would be playing in the front three. But our plans for him are clearly not in the front three because you never get to look in there. So you either want to, like, I'm going to be blunt. Like, I don't see how Hudson-Odoi makes it here because Ziyech, Werner, and Pulisic, they all seem to have long-term futures at the club. Like, they have those spots started up. So if Hudson-Odoi went out on loan and played on the wing, like, what's the point anyway? He's not, like, why bring him back and then play him on wing back? Like, what? That's almost a waste of a year anyway. If you do that, like, what's the point? You either commit to show and you have a plan for him, or you just get rid of him. It's as simple as that. Like, you either have a plan for him or not.
If he doesn't get the right amount of game time this year, he's leaving. He's not.
Yeah,
he's not had the right amount of game time for seasons. This is not.
I will say. Can I say one thing?
Spell the last 3 seasons.
And this
that's what I'm saying.
This pisses me off, right? This pisses me off because he is so much better than Werner on the left-hand side. So much better. That's what pisses me off about this.
Can I say one thing? And maybe I'm doing Callum a little bit of injustice there. And I've made this very clear to the world that I'm not over that transfer request. I feel like if we allow him to go to Dortmund, there's no chance he's ever coming back.
No, he's not. That's the point. That's why
he will refuse to ever come back.
Exactly. When people say, "Oh, just let him go on loan," you know that they're going to play him, and he most probably will
smash it.
Why is he going to then want to come back to a team that's not allowed him to progress?
You know what we'll do, right?
Makes no sense.
We're a bigger profile, but we would have raised his profile if we do that. He needs experience to fall back on for a manager to trust him because he's seen him be successful here.
Hudson-Odoi would smash it there.
Every 100%. Other loan player's had that.
And we'd sell him, right?
But
and
not
Dortmund,
as big a loan, Lewis, as
that's what they do.
But what then stops Bayern Munich going for him at Barcelona when he becomes this player, supposed player?
And we know the Bundesliga will come back.
Lewis, can you get the mic a bit closer to you? You're a bit quieter than the rest. Gone.
Sorry. Yeah, I was saying, what was it? Him going to Bundesliga will give him so much confidence because of how open the league is. He'll feel so much more comfortable in the way that he plays, but it will also give him such a spotlight to show what he can do as well. That when he comes back to Chelsea, he'll be like a new signing. And
don't you think he wouldn't want to come back?
Like, technically, he will.
He will want to come back.
But why would he come back? If Bayern Munich knock on the door, Bayern Munich knock on the door and want to spend 80, 90 million on him, 100 million on him, say he does this.
And he wanted to go.
Let's just say he goes and does a stand show, right? He goes there in 2 seasons. He starts banging, assist level, scoring double-digit goals. He becomes this player that he couldn't at Chelsea. Why then is he going to want to take us? Why is he going to want to come back to Chelsea if there's an option of Bayern or Real? Or do you know what I mean? Why would he then go back to we're his home team, but he's got the option to play under them.
And also the positions are covered. That's
exactly,
the problem. Unless you sell a Werner or a Pulisic. Where then Hudson-Odoi, when then Hudson-Odoi could come back or go into then the front 3 options, he ain't making it here because he don't want to be a wing back. So you
to be fair, we do know Werner's gone next summer. Come on, like Werner hasn't even played against your house on it. Tuchel is not playing Werner anymore. Clearly,
he will play him.
I wouldn't put your house on it, honestly.
Huh? Well, we haven't seen the party on Werner yet, so there should not really be any comments yet until we see that. But,
say again what you were saying. Sorry, I didn't hear it.
I was just saying I wouldn't put your house on Werner leaving. Maybe Pulisic will. I don't know, man. I just
Pulisic as well.
Pulisic, yeah. I've got to go anyway.
Someone said it in the chat earlier. Pulisic, well, doesn't love, that's a bad word, tends to get injured quite a lot. Even Ziyech, even though they've been unfortunate injuries, not like muscle injuries, but, now he's had his shoulder, and last year he had his knee, and this and that. So if you have those two out, you immediately actually have Joe as the next option there. But Jem needs to head off. Dami will also come back soon. So Jem, I appreciate you a lot. Check out his channel down in the comment section below or down in the description below. And I'll talk to you soon, Jem.
See you later, guys. Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah,
Nice. Take care, man.
Sorry. I agree with everyone that he isn't a right wing back. I agree with everyone that he should be on loan. But I disagree that anyone cares. Until Chelsea sign a player that fills his role as the right wing back option that we lack without him, even if he isn't a good right wing back, even if it isn't that his best position, that's irrelevant. What matters is that without him, we don't have the option. So we should have signed one, but we didn't sign one. Because we didn't sign one, he needs to be here, in my opinion. Like, there's no two ways about that.
Yeah. I understand for the depth thing. It's just annoying because for his development's not the best.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. 100% agree. But I think we've spent much longer on this topic. I didn't expect Dami to have such strong opinions, but it was fun. So let's get to the Kounde topic, because Josh obviously put in the super chat earlier. I appreciate it a lot. If anybody else wants to use, the super chat function to support the channel and make sure we, talk about your question, never, hesitate to do so. But Josh said, sadly, this was probably our last shot at Kounde. The pull of Real Madrid will end up being too much next summer, but Saul is a baller. I'm glad we agree on Saul. That's an interesting call, because I saw CFC Daily tweet earlier, even though I didn't fully get it, what exactly he meant in terms of which numbers he was talking about. This is what I'm not sure about. And maybe Pice will, because you know most of us about all the rumors and the news and stuff. In my thinking, it's like, well, we probably have enough centre-backs to go through things right now. We can just try for Kounde again in January. Like, he still has the same release clause as far as I'm aware. So, if we didn't pay it now, we can still comfortably pay that in January. And with this money that Real Madrid are trying to fork out for certain players, whether it's Mbappe, whether it's Haaland, whoever else they're trying to sign, would they really have 80 million euros left over for Kounde? I don't know. So I'm not sure if you're 100% right, Josh, because I'm not sure if Real Madrid will have the money for Kounde. But I would have, like I said, I would have loved to have Kounde, both for him as a player, to allow someone like Callum to go out on loan. It would have been brilliant. And I do think we kind of bottled it. I do want to get back to what Pice explained earlier, with that we could have signed him by August 20th for 65 million euros, which is 15 million euros under his release clause, but still 15 million more euros than we had apparently verbally agreed with them, which, Monchi said that isn't true, but he's the director of Sevilla. Obviously, he wouldn't admit that they verbally agreed anything with us. He'd be an idiot to do so. So just because he didn't say that doesn't mean we didn't verbally agree anything, right? But it's still, so there's still 15 million more than we actually wanted to pay, right? But I agree. I think it's just risky business, and I don't like it. We're too big of a club to do silly things like we need to sell first before we buy. Like small clubs do that. Sevilla do that. Do you know what I mean? Sevilla couldn't afford a different centre-back without selling Kounde first. Like, they could only sign a Kounde replacement once they had the money for Kounde. That's not us. We've signed. We've made so much money this transfer window through player sales, like ridiculous. I can't remember, aside from when we sold Hazard, I can't remember the last time we made this much money in the window. It's insane. And none of these players played games for us, realistically. I mean, sure, Giroud and Tammy, but outside of those, right? Zuma, sure, but none of them were starters. And we made an insane amount of money. But that we had to sell Zuma before we could sign Kounde is so weird to me. It's so weird to me. And okay, Josh, I hear that. Mbappe on a free. But Mbappe on the free will come on like 500, 600, 700k a week. That ain't free. That ain't free in the slightest. There you go. But before I put that to Pice, let me put it to Lewis. What do you actually think about the whole Kounde thing? Do you think Chelsea properly bottled it? Are you fine with the fact that we didn't sign him, or how do you see it? Because it is a bit of a bottle job. Again, why did we have to sell Zuma first? Why did that Zuma stuff drag on? Sure, that was probably half down to West Ham as well. And then I do believe that Zuma's reason to go to France was still a family reason outside of getting a move, right? So that probably slowed things down. But still, it just made no sense to me why we had to sell him first. Like, what would that have made for a difference if we just had Kounde and then sold Zuma to West Ham? Do you know what I mean?
For me, it's like it's more West Ham, if we're being honest. Because if this deal was done about 5-10 minutes ago, 5-10 days before we got to transfer deadline day, we could have. I feel like we would have had Jules Kounde at Chelsea potentially before we even went for Saul. But West Ham longed it out and just continue to long it out. So they've made this deal so much tighter for us because we've now had to prioritize Saul. And to be honest, I think we should have prioritized Saul first anyway.
I agree.
But that comes to my other point. We're not in that much of a bad place if he isn't here. Because, I mean, our batch of centre-backs are amazing. We've got one of the best centre-backs pairings in Europe, in my opinion, in terms of the depth that we've had. So it's not that deep. Long term, it will hurt because he's going to be an amazing prospect, but we can go in for him in January. We can go in for him in the summer. He's got a release clause. We just have to cash in that release clause. Hopefully, the Zuma money, and likely it gets saved for the Kounde deal anyway, and I think we still push for him anyway. Madrid will be a decent pull, but we're champions of Europe. We should have a bit of pull about ourselves as well. So we just have to wait and see. Like, I can't speculate too much. We could go for him next season. Could not. If we don't, we have centre-backs anyway. If we get him, then our centre-backs have just got even better. But it's one of the strongest places in our squad, so I'm not too worried about it.
I do agree with that. Before I get to the super chat by a Ninja, sorry if I butchered your name, I will put it to Pys. I know you have very strong feelings about Kounde, and rightfully so. And well, rightfully so. Everyone's entitled to have their own strong opinions about things, right? Especially if you like the player like you do. But do you have any sort of reasonable explanation? I know, obviously, Lewis just said it's because of West Ham, but that doesn't explain why we didn't just buy Kounde regardless of whether Zuma to West Ham was done. I still don't get that. Do you understand why we needed to do that, Pys?
It was to sign Kounde, right? That's what we. That's pretty much what we got told.
No. But what I'm saying is, why couldn't we just sign Kounde anyway, and then sell Zuma?
Why? We needed the money apparently to put towards the Kounde deal.
That is such horse crap. No one can tell me that's true.
We needed the money and also to balance the books. That's what the Athletic said. Like to balance.
Yeah, but balancing the books, we can selling him after, right? But needing the money,
like balance the squad. Like you take one out and bring one in for the numbers, kind of thing. Like balance the squad, not the.
Yeah, you can do that, but that's what I mean. Sign Kounde, sell Zuma. It doesn't need to be the other way around for having not too many players in the squad. That's irrelevant.
Because I remember I was asking like why do we have to sell Zuma first, and the replies was like, yeah, we need that money to put towards the Kounde deal because they didn't.
So weird.
They didn't so-called accept the 42 million or whatever we offered. So then we was going to sell Zuma, use that cash injection to get it closer to the release clause. And now the news coming out is we don't want to pay the release clause. Well, why? Why sell Zuma?
Exactly.
What's the point? I don't
also,
get it.
like,
my guess is Chelsea being overly sustainable.
But where has this weird need for being like we got, like I said, even without Zuma, we made so much money, 20 million for away.
The thing I don't get is why. Like I remember when we was in talks with Lukaku, everyone was, saying, "Oh, Kounde's next. The journalists were like Chelsea will sign Kounde no matter what. So where's that ambition gone for him? Why are we stalling? I don't get it. I don't get it. There's got to be some inside story as to what happened because it doesn't make any sense. That's why I'm so annoyed because like Kounde had his heart set on joining us. That was the news as well that's come out today. He was ready to join. He's been waiting.
Wasn't he? Didn't he fly to France just waiting for us to sign him?
He flew to France. He didn't play in the Elche squad in the Elche game because he wasn't mentally ready because he thought he was going to move for a transfer. He was ready to join Chelsea. Fabrizio said he had his absolute heart set on playing for us. And then we've just left him in the cold and decided, you know what? We're not going from 42 million to 67 million because even though we've sold Zuma and we have enough money to cover that, we're too awkward. We're just going to sit there and not do it, because we're awkward. And Marina just wants what she wants. It's either her price or no one's price. She doesn't cave into others' demands. Well, I'm sorry, but sometimes if you want a proper player, you're going to have to pay what someone else wants. You can't get your deal every single time. She's too stubborn and it's egotistical maneuver. You can't get what you want every single time, bro. I'm sorry. You just can't.
That is true, but also the fans can't get what they want every single time. If they say we're not paying that, then we have to accept that they're not paying that. Life's not a pony farm. You're never going to get all the players you want type thing. I just want to, before I get to the super chat, because I do want to keep that highlighted. Jester said, Laurenz, you had to sell first because one, financial fair play. First of all, financial fair play is basically lifted. And we made so much money, whether we sold Zuma or not, was for financial fair play absolutely irrelevant. And two, if you buy Kounde first, you lose leverage selling Zuma. No, it's the other way around. If you sell Zuma first, Sevilla will ask more money for Kounde. And that's exactly what happened. That's the problem. Like, it's the other way around. When you sell players first, the clubs which you're trying to buy from after know that you're desperate because you just sold your other option. So they make it more expensive. So I honestly, I don't know, like, financial fair play, I'm sorry, Jester, like, we get on really well, but there's no logic why you needed to sell Zuma first. That makes no sense. Like, even if it was we needed the money, no one in the world, like, the financial year runs until June 1st, 2022 since then, right? So it's totally relevant, as if we don't have an extra 30 million lying around without selling Zuma. Absolute waffle. Like, just to name a few of the players that we sold and for how much money. Guehi, 20 million. Even for Livramento, we got 5 million, right? Who's an 18-year-old who's never played any sort of game of men's football. Like, let that sink in. 5 million. Like, 25 years ago, that was just 10 million less than the record transfer. Do you know what I mean? We got that. We got 40 million euros for Tammy Abraham. We got so many, like, small fees for, like, the Moseses.
Oh my god!
Loan fees. Like, we got so much money in random places, and you're telling me we couldn't sign Kounde without Zuma. You seem to have read something.
It's just this comment. I'm sorry. Is it Arms or AMZ in the comments? Yeah, I know you're a regular on this channel. I'm sure you're a good guy, but he's saying, he or she, I don't know, is saying it's not being awkward. Clearly, Marina is the one qualified to do her job, not us. People don't try and rip us off. Bro, I'm sorry. It's not like they're going from 42 million to 80 or 90 million. It's 67 million for argue. Like, if you think about the young centre-backs in the world, for me, De Ligt, Kounde, who else is better? Like, as a young centre-back who's had so much experience and talent. Also wanted by Real Madrid, which is what I'm worried about, by the way. I know you said you don't think it's possible, but I mean, if they get Mbappe on a free, they get money from somewhere. They bid 200 million tonight for Mbappe. Like,
that's true. Have PSG, by the way, have we heard whether they've accepted that or not?
No, they're refusing to sell him, which is crazy. So I think if we go
200 million, because wasn't that initially what apparently they wanted?
Yeah, no, just completely refusing to sell him. Apparently,
they are swimming in money if they're happy to refuse 200 million and losing him on a free next year.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy. No, but like, just to respond to the comment, I disagree, bro. Like, I'm sure you're a good guy, but I don't think it's a rip-off. I think it's a fair price. Ben White went for 50 million. He's 3 times less the player.
Okay, but let's not use Ben White as a measurement stick.
But no, but he went for 50 million, and you're thinking Kounde 67. That's 17 million ball, and he's miles better than Ben White. Like, it's not a rip-off. It's just not.
I agree with that. I'm also. I think we should have just paid the release clause. I agree with that.
And
but it's also a case of
we were so intent on getting him. Apparently, like, it just doesn't make
that is the weird part. I agree. All the big journalists telling us we're getting him no matter what.
No
but
matter
I will
what.
Also
right?
say,
that's what Simon said.
Yeah, exactly. I will also say this before I finally get to the super chat. You have to also be a little bit realistic in knowing he wouldn't start, not straight away. Like, do you really see Tuchel dropping Aspi? Because I don't. And he's not going to play over Thiago Christensen and Rudiger. It's not going to happen. So because of that, I do understand why Chelsea don't want to spend 70 million nearly for a bench player. Even if he's going to be a starter and great for the next 5-10 years, whatever, theoretically. I do understand that is not like, it's not our money. But if you're sat there as Marina Granovskaia and you have this control over this huge entity that is Chelsea Football Club. You basically control it for Roman Abramovich, one of the richest men in the world. And then you sit here and I'm like, okay, I have this much money available to sort everything that I have. Am I really going to pay 70 million for a guy that for pretty much the entire season is going to be a backup? Like, maybe he wouldn't be a backup, but that's not something Marina can take a risk on, because at the end of the season, Roman's going to come So why exactly did we pay 70 million for that kid when he didn't play all season? Why couldn't we just sign him the year after when he would play? That I do understand. Like, I think, Pais, you're a bit harsh on Marina. I think Marina has done so many great things that, we need to hold our horse a little bit with being aggressive towards her, in my opinion. He's done too many good things. Like, only 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, people were saying build her a statue. Now people are going at her head. That's silly, in my opinion. Like, especially with some of the money we've made for some players, which is stupid how we got money like that, right? So she's good at what she does. I'm not saying she shouldn't have signed Kounde, but that doesn't necessarily mean she's now awful. That's all I'm trying to say. But I'll let you, both of you, give a reaction to that in just a second. And then Lewis needs to head off, so I want to get to Lewis first. Alongside with the super chat, if we got Kounde, we would have had more leverage in contract negotiations with Rudiger. Can't we just give Rudiger whatever he wants now? He deserves it. And that puts me on to the next kind of small topic of conversation. Rudiger. Obviously, Rudiger still hasn't signed a new contract, right? Christensen, even though they're not official, he has, or will be, whatever. Rudiger hasn't, and we've discussed this on one stream the other day anyway, where people were like, yeah, but you can't overpay, and then what if he sits out his contract and blah, 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 and maybe he wants his biggest payday. It's a good point that Ninja makes here. If you get Kounde, you have more leverage for Rudiger saying, well, we don't need you. So, if you want to stay, great, because you're a good player and you're a great guy. We'd love to have you, but you can't just hold us ransom here for your contract. Also, let's see how Rudiger does this season, because it's not been long enough to say he's now the greatest defender in the world, basically, because that's nearly how good he's been playing. The last 6 months, he's been one of the best centre-backs in the world type of level. But that's been the first 6 months in his entire career that he's played at that level, right? So there's no guarantee he will actually keep playing like this. I hope so. And I think he has it in him. And partly, obviously, Tuchel helps and the system helps and the players around him help. But still, there's no guarantee for this. So whether someone like Real Madrid or PSG would actually be willing to meet the wage demands that he has, likelihood is the Premier League will pay a normal centre-back, a good centre-back like Rudiger. The likelihood is the Premier League will pay more. Chelsea will pay more than most other clubs in the world. So will he even get more anywhere? That's what I still find weird. But Lewis, first of all, again, if you have anything else to add about Kounde, please do, or about Marina. But what do you think about the Rudiger contract situation anyway?
I mean, now we can't sell him for anything. So the main aim is going to have to be...
Can you get the mic closer again?
Out.
Sorry, bro.
Well, is it still not going through?
No, it is, but you're just very quiet then.
Okay. Yeah, so when it comes to what's his name, Rudiger, I think we would have had less leverage if Kounde came in, because he would have come in on bigger wages as well. And the whole problem with Rudiger is that he's stayed consistent in his eyes, while so many other players have come in on higher wages than he's had, or got extensions on higher wages. So I don't know if it gives us as much leverage. It just means we're not in a bad position if he does leave for free. Now, he could still potentially leave for free. And if the club wants to be salty about it, they could ask Tuchel not to play him if he doesn't re-sign the contract, which could be a problem in itself. But I'm not really too sure, because I would have wanted to see... If he hadn't re-signed by now, I would have put him up on the market. So unless things are going positive...
Imagine, though, we would have been even more in desperate need to sign players.
No, but Kounde would have had to come in first in that case. Because we're
then
losing
we might
money
have kept
on
Zuma,
Rudiger
you mean?
anyway,
That type of
last
thing.
year of his contract.
You mean like keep Zuma, sign Kounde, sell Rudiger, that type of thing?
Maybe both would have gone.
Maybe,
We're
yeah.
still in a solid spot, and the number doesn't change anyway. 2 centre-backs come in, 2 centre-backs come out. Chalobah goes a little bit further up in the pecking order, even though he's still bottom of that pecking order. But yeah, Rudiger, now the ball's really in his court. He's got a lot more leverage now, so it all depends on what happens with him. If he wants to stay, then contract negotiations will go through. If not, he's going to leave on a free. And he'll be a really good centre-back as well, because I expect him to have an amazing season this year too. So, yeah, it's going to be a sticky one for us, but we just have to see if he re-signs. Again, can't speculate. It all depends on how negotiations go.
It's going to be interesting, because obviously, theoretically, we could sell him still in January. Sure, from January can negotiate with other clubs, but only from the summer, right? So theory, we could still sell him for like a 10 million, like a small fee in, say, January. If we sign Kounde, for example, in January, we can still do that. But I mean, I still am firmly hoping that he stays. I still have a feeling that he'll stay, but I don't know. Maybe I'm misjudging him. I really don't know. But Lewis, before you head off, any other words on or feelings about the whole Kounde thing? Do you think we bottled it? Do you think Marina bottled it? Do you think we should have just paid up? Or do you think it's just a case of, well, you can't get everyone you want?
I think I get the club wanting to be more sustainable, and the whole way that we've gone about this window has just shown it. We've gone back to being a self-sustainable club. It means there's going to be annoying things like this, and yeah, we really could have just paid up. So it's a bit annoying on that front, but we have a good enough squad. If this was like the squad we had in 2017, I'd be raging, but it's not that team. We've got one of the best defenses in Europe. Statistically, the best defense in Champions League history. So it's nothing that annoying for now. It's just more annoying for the future. But yeah, we could have put the money up for him. It is what it is, though. But yeah, Laurenz, I gotta go. So I appreciate you having me on.
Everyone, subscribe to Lewis.
Big up,
big up,
Lewis.
And talk to you soon, man.
Like and subscribe. Bless. Love you guys.
Take care, Chief. Pys. Just that this is probably more aimed at you than at me, considering what I said and what you said. But just that, again, appreciate the super chat. Of course, I'd like to know, when was the last time any of the panel negotiated a multi-million-dollar, euro, whatever, pound contract and run a multi-million-dollar business? Obviously, he's saying that it's like, taking a piss. But I get what you're getting at, Jess. And to some extent, that's also where I'm getting from, where I'm coming from, excuse me, when I say things like, it's not always as easy as things seem. I don't know if Marina could have just done things, but I'm not in a position where I know everything she does and I know everything she can do for me to be all of a sudden extremely angry at her. I can be angry at a player that plays badly on the football pitch. I see what exactly he's doing. I don't see that with Marina Granovskaia. All we're trusting on is journalists who told us we're definitely signing Kounde. So clearly, everyone gets things wrong sometimes. So they just think about some of the reports we've seen about Antonio Rudiger 6 months ago. Just think about that again, right? Not even the best journalists don't get everything right. And me studying journalism, trust me, they prepare you for, sometimes getting things wrong, because you need to be prepared for that, because no source is perfect. It's absolutely impossible. Even if their source was Marina herself, things could just change. But Pys, is there anything else you want to add? Anything you want to respond to Jester potentially? Anything you want to respond to me after what I said after you were speaking?
Let me just reread this comment again. I'd like to know when the last time I negotiated more. Oh, fair enough, man. It's just these comments make me laugh.
I mean, you never know. We haven't seen what Pys looks like. Maybe Pys does that on a daily basis. Negotiate multi-million-dollar contracts. How would we know?
I don't need to be a negotiator to know that you got a cash injection from Zuma and you could have put that towards Kounde. That doesn't take big negotiating skills. It's common sense, but I think
that makes 100% sense. But what did you think about what I said? Maybe paying 70 million for a player that will, for the most part, be on the bench this season didn't seem like a thing that the board wanted to do. Do you not see that as a somewhat fair enough response?
No, I think he would have started 100% most games. There's no way.
I don't see Tuchel dropping Aspie. I just don't see it.
100%, bro. Kounde.
Aspie. Everybody else, I would agree, but not Aspie.
Get mixed up with is people like. You must not rate him as highly as I do. Like, he is top talent, bro. Like, honestly. Right centre back.
I probably don't rate him as highly as you do, because you rate him very highly, and I
very, very highly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've never even tried to portray a lie by any means that I'm now this expert on Kounde. That's why I got people like yourself on, like Jem on, who know what they're talking about because they've done a bit more research into him. I've seen Kounde play, of course, because I've seen a few Sevilla games, but before we were ever linked with him, did I ever pay any significant attention to him? No. I see things like, his crazy run back out against Barcelona reminded me of Lucio, the Brazilian centre-back. I've spoken about this before on this channel, but I don't know exactly how good he is. People tell me he's won more aerial duels than Varane. I'm like, well, brilliant, but
he won the Liga last season. He's 5'10".
Say that first again.
He won the most aerial duels in La Liga for a centre back, and he's 5'10", and he played.
Yeah, but does that tell me everything there is to know? Because look at the striker height in La Liga. The tallest of them is 6'2".
And there's also an argument to be made: who plays long ball in the Prem anymore? It's only Burnley. Newcastle don't anymore. They got Wilson. Yeah, everyone's balls.
That is true.
He got every other attribute apart from people saying he couldn't jump, which is BS because he can't.
No. I agree. That is BS. I'm just saying, Tuchel. You know, we saw it last season. Tuchel said, "I need Aspie on the pitch," and we still haven't seen proof that he's changed that opinion. So if he wants Aspie on the pitch, then how is he going to play Kounde?
Well, if we signed a £68 million centre back, then he would play. This is my problem with Declan Rice.
But that's the point. Sorry to interrupt you again, but that's my point. Maybe Tuchel said he wouldn't start him, and that's why Chelsea said, well, then we're not paying 65, 68, 70 million.
But then it makes no sense.
You not see that as a potential possibility?
No, because all the reports that came out said that Tuchel really wants him. So if a manager really wants a player...
They didn't say he wants him more than Aspie.
Well, then he shouldn't even be on the list. Kounde, I'm sorry. Aspie is a good player, right? But Kounde, I can't even explain how highly I rate him. For me, he would start, and for many managers, every big Premier League team he would start for. Every team.
I'm not sure about that one, but
we better sign him, bro. Trust me, we better sign this kid. If he goes to Real Madrid, oh my god,
I'll be annoyed at that too. I agree actually, because Madrid need a centre back. Madrid need a centre
back, right? If you think of a young centre back, it's De Ligt, then it's Kounde for me. There's no De Ligt's the only one I'd want over him. Honestly, I can't think of anyone.
Well, Ruben Diaz is still young.
Yeah, he's right. He's a stripper. He's rubbish.
No. And maybe he shouldn't have won Defender of the Year, but you can't tell me he's rubbish. That's waffle.
He's rubbish.
Nah. You can't say that. Because imagine if we don't win the league, but City do, then by that logic, we would have lost the league to a bunch of rubbish players, except De Bruyne.
Nah, pep tax. Pep tax.
There you go. I did find that comment by Emma quite amusing. I thought Pice was Ed's twin brother. Have we been living a lie?
Said, I will end up supporting Real, Eden and Kounde at the same club, bro. And they got Camavinga as well. They're building a saucy team. And Mbappe, like, wow.
There you go. Although, do you have an explanation to me why they signed Camavinga? Like, from my understanding of how I see the Real Madrid squad, midfield is about the last place where they needed a player.
They're old though, bro, aren't they? They got like Kroos, Modric, Casemiro. They needed an injection. It's weird because
Casemiro isn't old, is he?
Well, he's pretty old. He's like 30 or something, isn't he? I think he's slow. He's getting on. Yeah. But I think they were linked with Camavinga a little while ago, and they obviously just decided to get up. I mean, he's one of the top young midfield talents in Europe. So I mean, 30 million as well is crazy. Like, yeah,
that is true. No, it's a good deal for them, but they obviously still got Valverde as well, who's a fantastic player. But yeah, no,
bro, where is this man?
Excuse me.
I can't find any Saul up there. I wonder what's going on with him at the moment.
Well, Fabrizio replied to someone earlier. Fabrizio replied to Absolute Chelsea earlier.
Really?
With a handshake emoji, a blue emoji, and an airplane emoji.
Right, yeah. It's weird because I see that. When was that? Is that just now?
No, that's a screenshot from an hour ago.
Well, that's weird because I know Fabrizio said he'd be on the plane to London, but then Sky Sports said he's doing his medical in Madrid, so that's weird.
Yeah, I know you're slightly worried that it won't happen, but.
I'm getting tense. It's 9 o'clock.
It's like there was things with Lukaku as well. You know, everyone had different information about where he is at right now until people realised it was in Monaco.
Yeah, Fabrizio said he'll be in London the next hours, and that was 10 days before it was even agreed. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it was like, bro, what? I think he just assumes they're flying to London or something. It's crazy.
Exactly. I want to just touch on a few other last things of bits and bobs of players going out because we have an insane amount of players going out. We're still waiting for someone to take Barkley. Apparently, Burnley tried to sign it, but then that is apparently off again. Ethan Ampadu, like I said earlier already, is going to Venezia. Obviously, Venice, but in Italian, Venezia, who are bottom of Serie A. They just got promoted. So far, they've scored 0 goals, conceded 5. But they have the nicest kits potentially in the world this season. So, that's something. They do have a baller kit. What else is there? Who else is going out? Sarr was on the way to Greuther Fürth in the Bundesliga, which is another huge Elova move. But apparently that broke down. So no idea what's happening here. Drinkwater, yesterday, 2 days ago, went to Reading, but we're paying pretty much all of the wages, and he hasn't signed a new contract. So Drinkwater, we've just given up on. We're just gonna let him run his contract out, and just get rid as soon as we possibly can. Because Ampadu, for example, signed a new 3-year contract on the other side. But anything to add? Did I forget anyone, Pys? But please talk to me about Malang Sarr. I almost feel bad for him. If he will regret agreeing to come to Chelsea for the rest of his life.
What weird signing? I think we just did that for the sake of it. It was an opportunistic signing. I said that right. Yeah, opportunistic. That's a long ass word. Yeah, but it was one of those signings where you hoped you could get him the right loan. He played well. You sell him for 10, 15 million. Just a profit signing, really. But I mean, for Porto, he started off all right. I thought he was actually going to be a decent player when he played against. I remember the game, Man City at home in the Champions League. He played left centre back. Thought he was actually really good. He defended well against Mahrez, but ever since then he's gone downhill. He looked really bad in pre-season, I thought, as well. Even against the lower teams, I thought.
Yeah, no, exactly. And his worst was against Spurs when he came on. Him and Bakayoko.
Oh yeah, bro, that was terrible. But I think Bournemouth as well. He looked really awkward and just dodgy. I don't know, it was weird. He didn't look comfortable at all, and I don't know what the hell is gonna. Malang Sarr loan got cancelled for something. Someone said, "Yeah, it's weird."
He was meant to go to Greuther Fürth in the Bundesliga, but then that deal was off again, like the Barkley.
Bro, who the hell are they? What's this all about?
Again, a newly promoted side in the Bundesliga. Do you know what I mean? But
Ampadu as well. What's that all about? Venezia.
It's weird, isn't it?
What?
Weird.
It's just weird. I guess he just went for the place. I guess Venice.
Yeah, he'll have a lovely time. I'm sure. Lovely food.
Bro,
he'll have a great time.
I heard rumors of who was the team? Ampadu was supposed to be going somewhere. It was a miles better team than these guys. I can't remember who it was now.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember the team either. By the way, Emil, no, we're not. But Botman is the guy that apparently Sevilla and Wolves tried to sign from Lille, and Sevilla potentially as a
that's another thing, Laurenz. That's another thing I don't get. They lined up Botman. What actually happened with this Kounde deal? I want to know, the insides. It just makes no sense.
But they didn't. Lille refused in the end anyway. So even whether they lined him up or not, it wouldn't have happened anyway. Or did it only not happen because we didn't sign Kounde?
No, I think they were going to sell him for 25, 30 mil. But then obviously because the Wolves talks broke down, and then obviously because Kounde didn't do an arse.
Wasn't Ampadu linked to Newcastle?
No, it wasn't them. I'm going to try and find out.
You find out, because one thing I do want to one thing I do want to quickly discuss. I'm kind of lost it out of my head what I was trying to talk about. Well, that's SNL. What was it? Solution we buy Kounde. Oh yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. You never know. If I'm Chelsea right now, after whether this verbally agreed thing is true or not, but if it is, and personally I kind of believe it is, because otherwise all the big journalists wouldn't have seemed so confident that we're going to sign him. So because of that, just to screw Sevilla over and just to you don't mess with us, but we still want Kounde. Half an hour before deadline, pay that release clause. Doesn't give them any time for signing a replacement. Unlucky lads. You don't mess with Marina. I would love if we did that. I mean, I'd be a bit annoyed if I'd have to do a stream at midnight. But aside from that, I would love that. Just to really piss them off. Do you know what I mean? Who do you think you are? Bloody Monchi. I Googled him earlier. He's got Monchi isn't even anywhere in his name. It's like Ronaldinho just making his name up. But Ronaldinho was, actually sick. Monchi's just this weird Donny who used to be a player and is now director of football at Sevilla, who thinks he's like this baller. It's like De Laurentiis from Napoli. You clearly can't handle like a powerful woman, and now he's like trying to be all the bollocks. That's why I'd really love to piss them off. Just like. We did get them unverified on Twitter, which is a dub. Chelsea just reported the official Sevilla Twitter account and got them unverified, which I find
that was brilliant. I posted that last night. I was like, oh my God.
That is funny.
Our fans are just different. Like, who would think of that? Not only our fans would start doing that.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe they're still salty over the Giroud massacre. That is a fair point. Yeah, maybe that one. But it's just like I find it ridiculous. But is there anybody else that we loaned out that I forgot about? Obviously, Bakayoko went to AC Milan. We sold. I haven't actually mentioned this. Zappacosta, we sold him for, what was it, 10 million or something to Atalanta Bergamo. That's why I said to you earlier. Don't be so harsh.
8.5, I think.
£8.5 million, 10 million euros. Yeah. That's why I'm saying don't be so harsh on Marina. We got 10 million for Zappacosta. Like, I know she signed him, but. Ignore that. She got 10 million for Zappacosta. You can't tell me she doesn't know what she's doing. She must be amazing at her job to get 10 million out of Zappacosta.
Yeah, for the Ampadu thing, it might have been Newcastle. I can't seem to find anyone else, but I didn't think it was them. I saw something earlier in the day that was, I'm sure it wasn't Newcastle. But anyway, it's gone to Venezia or whatever it is.
Exactly. I mean, no, AMZ has said, has Baker not gone alone? So far, he hasn't. I mean, we've got 2 hours left, but we're still trying to find a loan for him as well. Barkley's still here. Malang is still here. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've still got, things to do. You know how busy Marina must be the last few days? Like, it's insane. Stu, do you know how many things she needs to, like, sign off on the day?
No, but this is part of her problem, is she always leaves it late. Like, it's like she thrives off this. It's weird.
No, but, yeah, for signing players, sure. But, I mean, I presume nobody wanted Barkley earlier. I mean, who would want Barkley?
I don't know. Like, I just always think it's surely much harder to do a deal now than it would be to do, I don't know, 10 days ago. Like,
you think? No, I disagree because also the other clubs know, well, now we can't really wait. We need to, like, do what they ask, because otherwise we don't get the player. 10 days ago, if someone asked for Barkley and we say, yeah, but you need to pay at least, say, 70% of his wages, they can just say no. And now if they say no, they don't have time to find a different player type thing. So, Griezmann to Atletico, here we go, which is, by the way, why so to us is happening. I'm not sure why, because they're completely different positions and completely different players, but apparently it's partly why that's happening. But
anyway.
That's also why Barcelona probably signed Dani Olmo today, or will sign Dani Olmo for 70 million. Where Barcelona take this money from is stupid, right? But obviously Griezmann was on 800,000 euros a week, which is stupendous. Before tax, but still stupendous. So I'm wondering if now that Griezmann's gone, could they have kept Messi? I don't know. Probably not. Maybe Messi on half the wages? I don't know. But Barcelona in the mud, even though the pie's been looking fairly good. But Olmo goes home, apparently. That's what it said earlier. And what's that young midfielder called that we were linked with, Pies, from Barca? Obrigans or something? Obriga? There you go. He's going to Leipzig the other way, so.
Bro, that kid just wanted money. Like, honestly, I had bad vibes about him.
Yeah.
I got told from
sorry, but that's the vibe I'm getting from Tino Andrew with this move to Russia. Maybe I'm doing him injustice here, but Moriba, that's the one. But I'm sorry, but that's the vibe I'm getting. Why on earth, at 19 years of age, as a talented young player at Chelsea Football Club, would you choose to go on a permanent deal to CSKA Moscow? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's a weird one.
Like,
there we go. Fabrizio Romano, Callum Hudson-Odoi stays, Kounde off, paperwork time for Saul. So there you go. There's the latest update, 30 seconds ago.
Oh, brilliant. I think that is a good time to leave it, even though Dami would actually be back fairly soon. When did he say he's be back in 30 minutes? To be honest, more than 30 minutes ago. So I think we're going to just leave it here. I will text Dami that we've just finished. Ladies and gentlemen, check out all of the links down in the description. Check out the link to Jem, to Lewis, to Dami. Check out all of them links, of course, down in the description below. Check out CFCPys' Twitter. Link is also down in the description. And of course, if you haven't already, I've not actually mentioned this today. So if you're still here, I appreciate you a lot. We still have 250 people watching. Please subscribe. You know, we're on the road to 50,000 subscribers. 50? 15. I wish 50. But, you know, we're on the road to 50 as well, I suppose. It's a long road. But, you know, every single one of you counts. So please subscribe. Hit the big red subscribe button. It's super satisfying. I keep telling you this, but it honestly is. Like, if you haven't subscribed, you need to just click it. It's amazing. And smash the like button for me as well. Let me see how many likes we have, because it's definitely nowhere near enough. Update. 132, to be fair. You've done okay, guys, but considering we still have over 200 people.
Get it up. Get the likes up. Let's go.
Exactly. I need you to get this to at least 180 right now, like comfortably.
Right.
Just go down below on your way out. Click that like button. Pi said it as well. And if Pi says it, you need to do it. So click the like button. Really helps me out. And just lastly, as one of the last things I want to quickly look at, if before you also leave, click on the poll down in the chat about Kounde. Not about Kounde, about the Chelsea transfer window, what rating you would give it. So far, we have 700 votes here. 9% said 0 to 3. Not sure what you are doing, but anyway. 11% said 4 to 6. 44% said 7 to 8. And 35% said 9 to 10. I would say 8 with Saul. What would you say, Pies? I can't remember if you actually answered it in the beginning or not now.
Well, I mean, earlier I said on like Twitter like a 6, but I was still quite annoyed about Kounde, so I'll probably say
7.
Yeah, 7 maybe. Yeah.
Give it
I
a
really
7.
wanted Kounde, so yeah, 7.
No, it's fair enough. Hey, if you wanted to play and it didn't happen, it's understandable and justified.
Yeah, it's pain, bro. It's pain. It's pain. Especially after making a whole ass comp for him, it's pain.
Yeah, I kind of.
Bro. Oh, it's so pain for nothing. That's why I need him, because otherwise, I made a whole 5-minute comp, and people think, oh, 5-minute comp, that's not long. Yeah, well, actually, I had to obviously edit all the clips and find all the clips and music and art.
And be at risk for getting claimed again and banned and all sorts of things like
Bro,
you did.
That's how nailed on I thought this transfer was. I started doing a bloody comp on him. It's an L. It's an L.
It is an L. It is an L, to be fair. But yeah, no, it seems Kounde is off unless Chelsea do a madness. Because I will say this: if Chelsea, half an hour before deadline, do decide to pay the release clause, no journalist would obviously know about this, because this is not a release clause. Wouldn't be a case of negotiating, and journalists find out about negotiating. But obviously, if you just pay the release clause, you just like send an email, and you know, this is that done. So no one would find out about this. So if we did that, it's crazy. The Zappacosta move bumps it up by 2 at least. Fair play. Oh, to be fair, it's also a brilliant move for Zappacosta. I'm not sure if he's going to start there, but you know, still. And just quickly, I want to end it on a positive note. Do we have a picture here? That's good. I'm not sure if we do. Let's do this one. While all the negativity and we didn't sign Kounde and it's unfortunate, it's annoying, we signed Romelu Lukaku. We signed Romelu Lukaku, who is, I've been so happy to see how happy he is to be back. It's just been good to see. And we've signed one of the top 5 strikers in the whole world. What number you actually put him at, everyone will put him at a different spot, I presume. But it's definitely in the top 5 without a shadow of a doubt. And we got that done. And that was also the player that we most desperately needed, the position we most desperately needed, a striker. And we got that done for £97 million and or £97.5 million. And mind you, 3 days or a week before we officially signed Lukaku, people were also losing their head at Marina, and like, because it seemed like, you know, Haaland was off and Lukaku was off. We turned that around. Today, people were losing their heads against Marina. She turned that around to some extent, at least, and got Saul done. Like, we did a good job. We did a good job. We now have a good midfield, a very good midfield. I mean, Pies tweeted it earlier, I'm pretty sure. One of the best midfields in the world, if not the best midfield in the world. A great front line, a very good defensive line, even though as individuals, they might not all be the greatest players in the world. But as a collective, under the system that we play under Thomas Tuchel, it's huge. And also, just to mention this, we also gave Thomas Tuchel a contract extension, which arguably, alongside Lukaku, is the biggest signing we could have made. Sure, we initially signed Thomas Tuchel in January, but you guys have seen what he's done to the club since then, how different of a position we're in. Do you think, like, I love Frank, right? But do you think we would be anywhere near talking about, as favourites of the league, about ourselves if we still had Frank Lampard in charge? There's no chance. Absolutely no chance. Even us fans would be thinking about it. Maybe some weirdos would, but not myself and Pies and most other people. So, like, you know, things are still good. Things are still good. Ladies and gentlemen, I really do appreciate it. Every single one of you that has tuned in today. Again, smash the like button if you haven't already. Really helps me out. Subscribe if you haven't already as well. That'd be brilliant. Like I said as well, check out Pies on Twitter and the other guys on YouTube. All the links are down in the description. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up to Chelsea, upwards and onwards. If something mad happens and we do sign someone still, I might pop live for like half an hour, but I'm not promising anything. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for watching. Up to Chelsea, upwards and onwards, and I'll see you next time.